Right now, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart World are both outselling Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which is actually something I predicted, something I've talked about, but we really do have to analyze this entire situation because this is one of the most embarrassing situations I have seen in recent years because Sonic fans, PC fans especially, they were coming out and trying to say that Sonic Racing Crossworlds was going to be the best racing game of the year, that it was going to be a cultural phenomenon, that it was going to be more successful than Mario, that it was going to make Mario irrelevant, that this was going to be like this huge game changing thing. And it comes out and probably hasn't even sold a million units. Like, not only did it fail to outsell Mario Kart World, it is also failing to outsell Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And the interesting thing about this is the cope cycle that we've seen over the past several years because when Mario Kart World first came out, the narrative was that like 8 Deluxe was way better, it's going to continue to sell, it's going to continue to do well, and that was not used as an example of just how strong the Mario Kart brand is, about how a decade old game can continue to thrive and succeed across like three console generations. Like nobody wants to acknowledge that Mario Kart World and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe are both coexisting and both doing well. Everybody tried to do this thing where they were just like, Mario Kart World isn't even as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And that's why Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling so well, instead of like, this classic iconic game. The best racing game ever in my mind is still selling a decade later. This is not some flex against Nintendo. This is not something that makes the Mario Kart brand look bad. Like, oh man, people are still playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe a decade later. I guess that means the new Mario Karts have failed. No, that's not how it works. If anything, I think this demonstrates Nintendo's strengths as a brand. This isn't Sonic Racing where people can't even name all the titles in the series. This is Mario Kart, a top of the line kart racer, an innovator, the best in the genre, and a console seller. And for the past several months, we were gaslit, we were bamboozled into thinking that for some reason that Mario Kart 8 Mario Kart World was a complete and total failure. I saw so many people come up with all these copes. They complained about the character select screen. They complained about the tracks. They complained about the open world. They complained about the features, the mechanics, the online play. They tried to say the game had no replay value. They tried to say the online was dead because people were so bored to tears of Mario Kart. And what happens? The game is still on the bestsellers list. It's still selling, and I'm still playing it very regularly. This is a game that I've been playing for 4 months now, over 4 months now, and it has retained its relevancy. It has stayed successful, and it will continue to do well, I think, for years to come, becoming one of the console's all time great games. Now, what's surprising to me is that it seems like Donkey Kong Bonanza is doing even better than that. But Bonanza never did have the same kind of like hate cope cycle the way that Mario Kart World did. And the whole complaining about the DLC thing has completely fallen apart because now that it's been out for a while, people like me are now advocating for the fact that the DLC is actually significantly better than the base game. So you have like these two like huge success stories right out of the gate with Switch 2. And yet we were supposed to believe that Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which by the way released on Switch 1, that this was somehow going to dismantle the Switch 2's launch period, that this would somehow undermine Nintendo's success with Mario Kart, that this would somehow be a better kart racer and like would just wow people with this blue rat. Like it it needed it to be seen to be believed because now that we actually know the sales numbers, now that we've actually seen the charts and we've seen how a game that's 4 months old and another game that's 10 years old is outperforming a brand new kart racer featuring Sonic the Hedgehog. Like this is the exact opposite of what we were told was going to happen. Like we were told that Sonic Racing Crossworlds was somehow going to like destroy Mario Kart World somehow. They weren't going to be competitors. Like Sonic Racing was going to be so much more popular and successful, and that was so blatantly untrue that it's not even funny. And I really do have to like really start questioning the mindset of Sonic fans because they really are stuck in this mentality in since the 90s that Sonic and Mario are these rivals. It's like if you compared like Ryu and Ken to Dan. Like Dan isn't a rival. He's not a relevant character. Like he's a joke. Like Sonic is the Dan of like the extended Mario universe. Like that's how like down bad he is. Like Sonic the Hedgehog is what people think Bubsy the Bobcat is. A 2-bit 2D platforming mascot with no real success stories to his name that hinges entirely on this illusion of success. Like, oh, look at me, I have comics, I have tie-in merchandise, I have a cartoon. Like, Sonic was never good. It never reached the relevancy that Mario did. It never really established itself. It was constantly reinventing itself. Not even in like the time period, but like, depending on where it was. Because if you know anything about Sonic, you know that different parts of the world had different lore for the character to try and make it popular in different regions. And eventually what ended up happening is that like that eventually led to the brand confusion and just led to the entire thing just imploding on itself to the point where like Sonic's core identity at this point is that he's a rival to Mario. And like that's just the reality of this situation that Sonic is worshipped as this thing that's like competitive with Nintendo, that was a rival to Nintendo, that was like the biggest threat to Nintendo there ever was or ever has been. Like in reality, like let's be real here, like PlayStation was a bigger threat. It's outlasted Sega. It's introduced several more like iconic brands and ideas. It empowered the third parties to try and like destroy Nintendo. Like I see PlayStation as like, the historical rival to Nintendo at this point. Like Sega really, honestly, genuinely isn't even a footnote in their history. There is no point in talking about Sega outside of like the advertisement campaigns in the 90s and the idea that Sonic was some, you know, like it was the mascot character that was pushed against Mario only to kind of fail in the end. Like, like there's definitely like some interest in that, when it comes to like how some autistic people kind of latched onto the character and kind of spent their entire lives obsessing over this idea that like this blue hedgehog would somehow destroy, the greatest name in gaming. And yet it just never happened. But what we've seen over the past 30 years is just this continued like obsessive autistic like fixation on like Sonic beating Mario at like something. We've seen like a handful of things of examples over the years. The Sonic movies, right? You have a lot of people who will come out and try and say the Sonic movies were better than the Mario movie, made more money than the Mario movie, were like better produced than the Mario movies, and they're just not. Like there's no room for potential or growth in the Sonic brand. And meanwhile, the Mario movie like broke records and is getting a sequel. Like I think people are going to be shocked at how much better the Mario Galaxy movie is compared to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And yet Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the one that people tried to prop up as this like big new exciting thing. Like, oh man, it has Jim Carrey in it. Oh man, he was so funny in The Cable Guy. Like, oh, like I love Jim Carrey. Oh, like I think about Jim Carrey every time I go to sleep. Oh man, Jim Carrey, he's the funniest actor. He's way more popular and iconic than Jack Black, who's only been in, some of the biggest movies ever made at this point. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't see Nintendo fans do that with like Chris Pratt or like Anya Taylor-Joy or like or Jack Black, really. Like, but like with Sonic fans, it's like, oh, we have Jim Carrey. Like he was big when I was a 90s kid. Oh man, that was the best decade to be alive. Oh, like, that's what Sonic is. It is a nostalgia brand for autists, who can't accept that their entire life mission to try and gaslight people into thinking Nintendo isn't cool and that Sonic is better than Mario, that like Nintendo is going to go third party, like that all of that is like completely collapsed now, and all they can kind of do is just kind of sit there and complain about Amiibo or like complain about Nintendo Switch 2 and try and like trick people into thinking that thing isn't a huge success. Like we're gonna see like more and more examples of this going forward. But like for me, like this is the tipping point. Like no more. Okay, like I've been ignoring Sonic fans for the past decade or so, ever since Sonic Lost World came out and people tried to say it was going to be better than Super Mario 3D World. Like ever since that happened and I played both and I kind of realized like how shit the Sonic brand actually was. It's been this like weird thing just seeing the same pattern just like over and over and over again where before these games come out like Sonic fans are just talking all this trash saying that Mario can't compete and then the games actually come out and surprise surprise Mario's better. It's just it's been like that since the very beginning. So like no more. Like it's completely 100% over. Like I don't want to hear Sonic's name again. Like he is the new Bubsy the Bobcat.